This is from the independent.co.uk, and this is one of the most ominous. This is the passage that I think could be describing some type of like pole reversal. Very interesting. Listen to this. An eclipse in the evening watch signifies pestilence, reads another. If an eclipse is the wrong way around, nothing will be spared. The deluge will occur everywhere. So let's think about that. If an eclipse is the wrong way around, nothing will be spared. The deluge will occur everywhere. So did they get that information from the deluge that took place, the biblical flood that's referred to, estimated 6,000 years ago? So they took that information, they put it in a cuneiform tablet, they put it in a list of measurements, and then they passed that on through the kingdoms, through the generations. It's a manual for when SHTF happens, when doom could arrive. So just got this in my email, and there's a really cool chart, as you can see next to me here. Commonly regarded as a safe haven asset, investors typically buy gold to protect themselves during periods of global uncertainty, economic decline. And because of this, gold has performed rather strongly in recent years, especially this year, 2024. Persistent inflation combined with multiple wars has driven demand for gold, helping it set an all-time new record of over $2,400 per ounce. You should have listened to me like 7 years ago, when I was recommending Noble Gold. To put this into perspective, we visualized the performance of gold alongside the S&P 500. And if you look here, you can see that gold has actually outperformed the S&P 500 over the past 5 years. And consumers aren't the only ones buying gold. Central banks worldwide have been accumulating gold by the tons, literally oozing tons of gold. And they're offering a really cool special right now for Leak Project listeners. So if you've got a 401 or an IRA and you convert into precious metals through Noble Gold Investments, if you qualify, find out how, you will be gifted a 10-ounce solid silver American flag bar, or you could pick 10 1-ounce singles of these limited edition Trump rounds. Solid silver. Their number is 1-877-646-5347. And let's get back to the podcast right now, shall we? Hello. So cool. All right, here we go. How you doing? Beautiful day out here in Southern Colorado. Got some awesome music in the headphones going on right now. And I wanted to share some amazing information with you. So I just discovered this tablet from ancient Sumer that's about 4,000 years old. It's an ancient cuneiform tablet, and it has these astrological alignments as well as eclipse paths and omens associated with the eclipse paths. And one of these passages in this cuneiform tablet, I think, is describing a pole shift, something really weird. I want to share it with you. And you can actually go directly to the British Museum and see the cuneiform tablet yourself in person, or you can see it online. I'm going to show you the footage here in a moment. But how cool is that? And then we're going to talk about Comet Enki. Now, there's a comet labeled Comet Enki, and it's also connected to a cataclysm that took place approximately 12,000 years ago that changed civilization as we know it. Towards Turkey region, there's Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli Tepe depicts a asteroid strike that smashed civilization, but it also created a new way of thinking, and a new civilization thrived from the ashes. It's quite incredible. It's named Comet Enki, and it has a 3.3-year orbit around the sun. And the guy that named Comet Enki, his last name is Enki. And he discovered it, I think, in the late 1700s. So I'm going to share it with you. As you can see behind me, we've got the menorah head man, as well as the seven-headed serpent. And there could be a connection with the astronomical events that took place previously, because this one to the left of me is a petroglyph from Siberia that's about 7,000 years old. It's estimated to be 5,000 BC, give or take a few years. And then to the other side of that is a depiction of the seven-headed serpent, or the seven-headed Nagas, the seven Nagas, and it's in an anthropomorphic figure. Different place in the world, different time in the world, yet very similar. What does it all mean? We're going to talk about it. We're going to link it to Comet Enki. We're going to talk about Turkey, Göbekli Tepe, astronomy, astrology, as well as these cuneiform tablets that depict the rise and fall of civilizations, as well as kingdoms and kings. Very ominous signs. But one in particular is the most ominous. Very fascinating. Also, wanted to give a huge shout out to our friends over at Noble Gold Investments. Just got another email the other day from a happy customer. They've got an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews, and they're offering a really cool special right now for Leak Project listeners. So if you've got a 401 or an IRA and you convert into precious metals through Noble Gold Investments, qualify. If you qualify, find out how. You will be gifted a 10-ounce solid silver American flag bar, or you could pick 10 1-ounce singles of these limited edition Trump rounds. Solid silver. And this will be gifted to you. Their number is 1-877-646-5347. Another really cool thing I wanted to share with you about gold. Check this out. So just got this in my email, and there's a really cool chart, as you can see next to me here. Commonly regarded as a safe haven asset, investors typically buy gold to protect themselves during periods of global uncertainty, economic decline. And because of this, gold has performed rather strongly in recent years, especially this year, 2024. Persistent inflation combined with multiple wars has driven demand for gold, helping it set an all-time new record of over $2,400 per ounce. You should have listened to me like 7 years ago, huh, when I was recommending Noble Gold. To put this into perspective, we visualized the performance of gold alongside the S&P 500. And if you look here, you can see that gold has actually outperformed the S&P 500 over the past 5 years. So cool. Over the last 5 years, gold has climbed an impressive 81.65%, outpacing even the S&P 500. And consumers aren't the only ones buying gold. Central banks worldwide have been accumulating gold by the tons, literally usurping tons of gold. And according to the World Gold Council, these institutions bought 1,136 metric tons in 2022. That was the highest level since 1950. Figures for 2023 came in at 1,037 metric tons. So when I say banks are literally usurping tons of gold, they are. So once again, you can give them a call, 1-877-646-5347. There's not a better time than now. Obviously, there's never any guarantees. So look at what the big banks are doing. Look at what the money funders are doing. And let's get back to the podcast right now, shall we? Hello. So cool. All right. Here we go. Now let's start off with the paper. So you guys know where I got all this information. You can actually go to the University of Chicago Press Journals and you can purchase this yourself. I think they want $30 for this article. If you just want to look at the abstract and listen to me, hello, that's what I'm here for, the abstract. So let me share this with you real quick, okay? The article presents a first edition of 4 clay tablets inscribed with omens arising from eclipses of the moon. As products of the Middle and Late Old Babylonian periods, they represent the oldest examples of a compendia of lunar eclipse omens yet discovered, and thus provide important new information about celestial divination among the peoples of southern Mesopotamia in the early 2nd millennia BCE. The tablets are edited with appended philological apparatus. Say that 3 times fast. They are all found to bear witness to a single text which organizes the omens of lunar eclipses by time of night, movement of shadow, duration, and date. A composite translation also takes account of 2 other early versions of the text published 11 years ago. The article is concluded by discussions of variants and scribal annotations of the text. The cuneiform texts are illustrated by scale drawings of the tablets. Now, this is the tablet. This is from the independent.co.uk, and this is one of the most ominous. This is the passage that I think could be describing some type of like pole reversal. Very interesting. Listen to this. An eclipse in the evening watch signifies pestilence, reads another. If an eclipse is the wrong way around, nothing will be spared. The deluge will occur everywhere. So let's think about that. If an eclipse is the wrong way around, nothing will be spared. The deluge will occur everywhere. So did they get that information from the deluge that took place, the biblical flood that's referred to, estimated 6,000 years ago? So they took that information, they put it in a cuneiform tablet, they put it in a list of measurements, and then they passed that on through the kingdoms, through the generations. It's a manual for when SHTF happens, when doom could arrive. But this says specifically, if the eclipse is the wrong way around, nothing will be spared. The deluge will occur everywhere. It's a pretty big deal. Then the authors go on to say it's unclear what exactly the astrologer meant by wrong way around eclipse, but researchers suspect this refers to a scenario in which the moon's disk is said to be facing the opposite direction from that expected. Wow. How does that happen? Let's do a quick search on this. All right, so what I'm getting here is it's just describing how the reason we see an eclipse and the shadows take place the way that they do is because the way that our Earth orbits the moon and the way that the moon orbits the Earth and the way that we orbit the sun, etc. So if our Earth's rotation was to reverse, then would that not create what we would perceive as an opposite in the eclipse path? Therefore, maybe this passage referred to, let's go back to it again real quick. And this is from IFL Science. Another one of the omens inscribed in the tablets explains that an eclipse in the evening watch signifies pestilence, while a particularly threatening entry states that if an eclipse is the wrong way around, nothing will be spared. The deluge will occur everywhere. Exactly what the ancient astronomers meant by the wrong way around is unclear, though. The researchers say this probably relates to a scenario in which the lunar disk is somehow judged to be facing the opposite direction from that expected. So what would cause that, ladies and gentlemen? I want to read your comments in the comments section because I don't know. I'm just making a guess here. This is a guess. This is a theory. Theory. Theorize. Theorize. Theorizing. So anyway, the next thing that I find just so remarkable, first of all, let's take a look at this tablet here. So this is the tablet. You can see this is the tablet number. This is the location. This is the size. I mean, all the specifications are here. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is where it's going to get pretty cool. Enki. This is a periodical comet named Enki. Now, why am I showing you this? Because recently, the world's oldest calendar was discovered, carved into an ancient monument that depicts this comet strike that we're talking about, right? This 13,000 years ago, this comet just decimated civilization and the planet. I mean, it created a cooling system or like a scenario where the planet actually cooled for 1,200 years. It's the Younger Dryas event. Look it up. It was intense. I mean, entire massive land masses were on fire. People had to go hide in caves and underground and survive underground and in caves. And it was pretty intense. Well, the Younger Dryas event could have been caused by this extraterrestrial explosion. Evidence for an extraterrestrial impact 12,900 years ago that contributed to the megafaunal extinctions and the Younger Dryas cooling. You can read about this, pnas.org. I'll leave a link in the video description box. But it describes specifically how Göbekli Tepe depicts with incredible accuracy this comet smashing into the planet. And then shortly after, in universal terms, civilizations rise and new mindsets, new archetypes, new gods and demons and monsters and thought processes are created. The evolution of man changes. Mankind changes during this event, literally. The thought process, the physiological makeup, the mindset. And when it describes the event taking place, well, let me just read it to you right here. Extraterrestrial catastrophes also have been proposed. For example, the Violet suggests that a large explosion in our galactic core led to extinctions. Brackenridge postulated that a supernova killed the megafauna and caused the worldwide deposition of the black layer. And then you've got Klube and Napier proposed multiple encounters with remnants of the megacomet progenitor of the Taurid meteor stream, as well as Comet Encke. So that's where I first found out about this Comet Encke being related to a possible comet strike depicted in Göbekli Tepe. So I did some research. And when I did some research on Comet Encke, discovered first, allegedly, in the more modern times by Pierre F.A. McCain, January 17th, 1786. Other astronomers located the comet in subsequent passages, but these sightings were not defined at the same time until Johann Franz Encke calculated its orbit. So there you go. What a coincidence. Gets even more interesting. Stay with me, because if you connect ancient Sumer and the Babylonian texts and their beliefs in Enki, and Enki being the progenitor of modern humankind, the creator of our modern way of thinking, Enki is the man. Enki is the god. Enki is the deity associated. Well, there's a comet named Comet Enki that is the alleged catastrophic event that took place in the same region and started this belief system, allegedly, that created this new way of thinking about gods and goddesses and demons and monsters and rites and rituals associated with the stars and the planets and the constellations. And then when you read through some of the Sumerian cuneiform tablets that are 4,000 years old, the way that it describes Enki in certain texts being far more than just a physical person, there could be a connection there with this comet strike. And when you look at the symbology, you also can connect more dots, because certain references of self-creation in passages from a metaphysical aspect, you could associate symbolically with certain passages referred to in these Sumerian texts referring Enki and praising Enki. Fascinating. So listen to this. Comet 2P Encke is a small comet. Its nucleus measures approximately 2.98 miles in diameter, about a third of the size of the object hypothesized to have led to the demise of the dinosaurs. Notice that number, a third, 1/3. It takes 3.3 years for Encke to orbit the sun. Once Comet Encke is the shortest orbital period of any known comet within our solar system. Encke last reached perihelion 2015. Which is obviously the closest approach to the sun. Comet Encke is the parent comet of the Taurid meteor stream. The Taurids, which peak in October and November of each year, are fast meteors estimated to be about 65,000 miles per hour in speed, and they're known for their fireballs. Halo. Fireballs are meteors that are bright or brighter than the planet Venus, seen in the morning or evening skies at around a visual magnitude of -4. They may exhibit larger explosions of light and color and can persist longer than an average meteor strike. This is due to the fact that fireballs originate from larger particles of cometary material. Oftentimes, the particular shower exhibits fireballs on or around Halloween, making them known as the Halloween fireballs. Comet Encke approached the sun for its close encounter in 2013, at the same time as the much talked about and imaged comet Ison, and because of this, was imaged by both the Messenger and Stereo spacecraft. Then it goes on to say that it got its name because the gentleman by the name of Johann Franz Encke calculated the comet's orbit. It is a periodic comet because periodic comets have an orbital period of less than 200 years. So Comet Encke could be connected with the Younger Dryas event, the fall and rise of new civilizations, described in this paper here, evidence for an extraterrestrial impact 12,900 years ago that contributed to the megafaunal extinctions in the Younger tribes. This is more information about the Göbekli Tepe discovery of this comet strike in Turkey. Now, another thing I want to point out about Turkey is Turkey has one of the largest, if not the largest, underground cities. It's called Derinkuyu. And we've only discovered a small portion of this. Derinkuyu. The modern scholars will tell you that this city underground was created specifically so that Christians could hide from Romans and the persecution that was taking place. Now, there could be parts of this that is true. However, this underground city is far older than when Romans were hunting down Christians 2,000 years ago. This city could be 6,000 plus years old, and it's massive. So our ancestors were building underground cities to protect themselves from these cataclysms that were taking place above ground, from the heavens. And now it's much easier to understand how religions formed, gods, goddesses, demons, monsters, symbols, and civilization itself, how it spawned from this comet strike. It makes so much sense now. And this doesn't take away from the divine creator. This doesn't take away from other belief systems and religions and faiths. I'm not how do I put it? This is a starting point. This is one of the things I've been looking for subconsciously and consciously for years now, is like, where is that starting point? And this appears to be it. A nexus, a cradle of civilization. This is where the cradle of civilization is. Modern civilization. Apex. This is an apex, folks. Now, the 7 keys of the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah 7 principles. This makes sense, and you want to study this, because if you understand this, symbols are much easier to unlock. Your observations in your conscious wake state will unlock subconscious. Anyway, it's pretty cool. The principle of mentalism, the principle of correspondence, the principle of vibration, the principle of polarity, the principle of rhythm, the principle of cause and effect, the principle of gender. 7 is the number of the natural world. There's 7 days in the week, 7 notes on the musical scale, 7 directions, 7 represented by 7 days of Sukkot is the world of nature. Seven emotions. Cabal as above, so below. The Kabbalistic tree of life, as above, so below. Nordic mythology, the god Odin hung himself upside down the tree of life to obtain wisdom of the runes. The mother of all runes is Hagalaz. Okay, so check this out. This makes sense. It's not necessarily the Star of David. It's far more than that. Okay, so as above, so below. If you look at something as above, so below, a triangle pointing upward and a triangle pointing downward, you have the Star of David. You have as above, so below. You have a hexagram. Hexagram. There you go. You have a hexagram, folks. As above, so below. It's right there. Interesting note, in Hinduism, hexagrams represent the union of dualities, the masculine and the feminine. The pentagram, on the other hand, was used as a symbol of the 5-faced god Shiva. With these notes in mind, the following image gains more perspective. In some myths, the tree of life has a snake in its roots, with an eagle wings in its crown, which again resembles the caduceus, the wand of the god Hermes. I believe that there are many hidden secrets in the united version of the Kabbalistic tree of life. The axis mundi, the connection between the earth and heaven. And as you can see behind me right here, symbolism. The 7 Naga serpent head, the menorah. But that's a 7,000-year-old petroglyph in Siberia. As you can see now, these traditions and stories and religions and beliefs have been passed on for generations. But how far do we go back to this current set of archetypes? Can we go back 13 plus thousand years ago and see the menorah? Can we go back 13,000 years ago and see the Nagas, the 7-headed serpents? Or was that when it started? It seems to me like this 7-headed menorah head man, which is also kind of connected to a squatter man, and you've got the tree of life connected to the left, you've got people underneath, you've got the symbol of earth with the 4 corners, the 4 dots, northeast, southwest. Then you have what looks like runes, Nordic runes to the left of that. And then we had the Disciplo tablet, an 8, 9, 10,000 BC estimated wooden tablet found in mud off of the coast of Greece that has very similar runes, very similar characters. I think this is the Nexus point. This is the closest I've gotten yet to the Nexus point of religion and civilization and where we are. And you can see how far it's fallen. There may have been a time when things were much different in the aspect of, well, how do I put it? The further you go away from source, if we're in something that might be looked at similar to a holographic universe, doesn't mean it's not real, it's just the nature, it's almost holographic in nature. The further you go away from source, the hologram will start to lose information. It will start to degrade. And if you've seen the movie Idiocracy, I don't know, it just kind of seems like there's a connection there. So anyway, I just wanted to share this with you. I want to get your thoughts. Does this 4,000-year-old cuneiform tablet, is it telling us about a pole shift that took place that caused the Great Deluge and the flood previous to that? And what do you think about this whole cradle of civilization, religion, Comet Enki? And then the fact that somebody 12,000 years later discovers the comet's the orbit of the comet, and his last name is Enki. What are the odds, folks? What are the odds? I want to get your thoughts. Have a beautiful day. If it's a simulation, it's far more than what we consider a simulation, but it does seem to have those aspects. This is pretty cool. The Kabbalah seems to be spot on with many aspects. Have a beautiful day. Hit the bell, be well, and be the change you want to see. And check us out over on Patreon. Hello. And leakproject.com. It's cool too. Oh yeah.